Hey everyone, I think I'm live and I think it's working now. Sorry about this short delay. I had a problem with connecting to the stream, but I think it's all working fine. If anyone could let me know if you can see me and you can hear me well, that would be very helpful. Wow, it's been a it's been a long time since I've done live stream, so it's a bit of a trip. And there is a bit of a delay between um, y- what I say and the comments. So in case you say something or you ask a question, there will be a bit of a delay between what's happening. So just so you know. All right. So for today, mindfulness, mindfulness practice. Um, I was thinking about having this Sunday slot as a kind of regular mindfulness practice, not just for for you guys, but also for myself. I thought that it would be nice to have a routine to kind of be able to sit down and slow down. And if I can help other people to do the same, that would be extremely helpful. So what is mindfulness? I think it's a, these days it's a big keyword with everyone. Yeah, with everyone kind of associating mindfulness with this um I guess maybe in an extraordinary state of consciousness or state of being, where that this state is kind of in a way it's even glorified that it's good to be mindful, it's not good to be mindless, right? As they say. So mindfulness is basically an ability to put your awareness and put your attention to the present moment. Mindlessness, in opposite to that, it's it's about kind of doing things automatically and on autopilot, where we just go through life without thinking what is happening, um, without putting our attention and awareness. Like, for example, right now, I'm really stressed out, and honestly, I'm trying to put words together in order to kind of relax myself into this present moment as I'm expected to lead this session and um, lead this mindfulness practice. But generally, mindfulness and mindlessness, it's this kind of two contrasting states between one having an ability to be consciously present and have some sort of control over our experience and what's happening, and the other is going through life or our experiences on kind of autopilot, without awareness, without consciousness, and just kind of doing things mindlessly. So an example of that, you might be walking somewhere every day, taking the same road, and if you're, because you're doing it every day, you're most likely not going to be doing very mindfully. So that's an example of the mindlessness. And I think that kind of leads me to, thinking how I think one of the greatest problems that we all face, regardless where you are in the world, who you are, is the fact that we not only get things, we do things automatically, but we also get conditioned. So conditioning is where we have a, for example, a bad experience, and then we get scared to do something again, and then we avoid that experience. So that's a very basic idea around conditioning. So mindfulness comes in, and it's like a skill that you can cultivate in order to break the patterns, break the conditioning, break basically this experience of going through life like there is no flavor, no meaning, no purpose, and you just kind of go through motions day by day. Obviously, that is the kind of very broad benefit of mindfulness. Um, but when it comes to practical applications of mindfulness, if you have anxiety, mindfulness is great. That's where you start breaking the patterns. That's where you can learn that you don't have to be kind of a slave to your feelings or your emotions. You don't have to be a slave to what you observe or what's happening to you. All right, so now that the kind of the idea of mindfulness is a little bit clear, and if you know that this is the path that you want to pursue, that you think that would be beneficial for you, I would like to start at the actual mindfulness practice. So the whole thing is going to take around 15 to 20 minutes. It's not going to be like a classic meditation session where you just focus on your breathing. I like to do it in a very specific way that is adapted for people that do not like meditation. And I know that in my community there are lots of people that don't find meditation helpful. It doesn't simply work. So I prepared a little mindfulness practice that anyone can join in. So the whole thing is going to take around 15 to 20 minutes. And after that, we can debrief and we can talk about your experiences. If you have any feedback or questions, that would be extremely helpful. So the first thing I'd like you to do is to make sure that obviously you're free from distractions, that your phone is off, that nobody's gonna suddenly run into your room and yell. That would be extremely destructive. Um, and make sure that you're comfortable and you're prepared to kind of slow down and relax into the present moment. What helps me a lot is to put my feet on the ground. So I like to touch the ground when I feel like I'm thinking too much, when I have too much anxiety, when I feel like maybe things are running a little bit of out of control in my environment, or I don't know what to do or what to say. So placing my feet on the ground helps me to kind of get into that stable position of feeling like, okay, I got it. Like I am supported. I can slow down and everything will be okay. That it's the reason that maybe I feel out of control is because I'm rushing, because I focus on too many things. So placing my feet on the ground, um, it's basically giving me that clue that I can slow down and I am supported and I can find that peace within me in order to be able to start focusing on what I need to focus, and I can start putting awareness into the present moment. So the next thing I'd like you to do is to start noticing what is it that you're aware of in your environment. What is it like to be able to touch your feet on the ground? What is it like to look maybe through the window? I'm looking through the window right now and it's a beautiful view. I can see the mountains. I can see a lot of houses and it's very green out there. I'm in Spain. What is it that you see in front of you? What is it that you can hear? What is it that maybe you can sense or smell even? So that's sort of questions that can start helping you to start slowing down and noticing things that are around you. I like to do a little setup here. Now that you brought your awareness into a present moment, I like you to start noticing your thoughts. You can close your eyes, you can look in front of you, you can choose a point on the floor or whatever it's comfortable for you. And start noticing what kind of thoughts are coming up for you. What is it that you start thinking about? What is coming into your field of awareness? If you feel like you start drifting away, or If you start feeling like you get lost in your thoughts, remember that you put your feet on the ground before. And that ground is there to remind you that you're in the here and now and you're supported and you can start slowing down. Lots of people have an idea that when you practice mindfulness, you're supposed to be mindful all the time. And if you can't be mindful for longer than, if you stop being mindful after a minute or two, or you get lost in your thoughts, you failed. That is a big, big lie. The mindfulness practice is about going back to the present moment again and again, and to notice that you drifted away again and again, that you got lost in the thoughts. It's not about being in that state permanently. It's about remembering that you need to go back to the present moment and notice what's happening. It's not about stopping your thoughts. It's not about criticizing yourself that you drifted away or you forgot to be mindful. It's just noticing and you're just observing. Now, I'd like you to start focusing on your breathing. What is it that you notice about your breath? Is it slow? Is it fast? Is it shallow? Does it feel like you're forcing your breathing? Every time you inhale, you become more energized. You take in the breath. Every time you exhale, you relax. You let go. But don't try to force it. Don't try to control it. It's not another thing to control on how you breathe. You just observe. Observe that when you inhale, maybe you become a bit tense. Your lungs are taking in the breath. And then you exhale and you let things go. What else are you noticing about your experience right now? Now that you noticed your breath and you noticed your thoughts are probably popping in and out. Now that you noticed your feet as well. Did you notice any tension in your body? Did you notice any discomfort? What does it feel like? What draws your attention? What are you feeling curious about? And sometimes various feelings can come up, or sensations, or discomforts, anxiety maybe. And that's okay. You're just here to observe and become aware of everything that comes up for you. It's nothing to control, nothing to change. just observing. And when your mind starts drifting away too far, you can bring your attention back to your breathing when you start observing your breath, or if that isn't uncomfortable or doesn't resonate, bring your attention back to your feet. And notice how you're touching the ground. What else is showing up for you? Are there any feelings? Are there any thoughts? Or maybe it's just pure emptiness. Maybe there's nothing at all. I'm not here to judge or evaluate whether something is right or wrong. We're just observing. For some people, thoughts go in loops. Usually it's the same thoughts over and over again. Maybe you want to get curious about that if you can relate. Or if you cannot observe anything like that, that's also okay. Maybe you just get distracted. Every time it happens, you just let your thoughts be, take a note. You can mentally say to yourself, okay, this is what I'm observing right now. This is the thought. This is the feeling that I'm observing right now. This is the sensation that I'm observing right now. And you move back your attention back to your breathing and to your feet. What else is happening in that present moment for you? Maybe you're bored, restless, maybe you're not sure what to focus on. The mind is definitely restless. And I think we all, to some extent, are, especially in this age of getting overstimulated with technology all the time. There's no time for anything. And that's especially where the mindfulness practice is valuable the most, where we feel like we have to rush somewhere, go somewhere. But all you're here to do, at least in this practice right now, is to just observe. Not judge, not control. And let go. Every time you observe something, you acknowledge it, you accept it, and then you bring your attention back to your breath, or your feet, or both. Whatever thought, whatever sensation or feeling comes up, acknowledge it, and then go back to the here and now. When it comes to breathing, I personally like to focus on my belly, and I like to observe how it goes. With every inhalation and exhalation, it keeps moving and goes. It expands and then contracts again. But if you don't feel like your breath reaches there, that's okay. Some people, sometimes breath can be a bit shallow. Now I'd like you to notice your feet again. Notice how the ground supports you. Then notice how you're sitting or standing. Relax your legs. Notice your back, your spine. Notice how you're breathing in and breathing out. Notice your head, the tip of your head. Then notice what you can become aware of around you. And now that we are wrapping up this short practice, notice how you're feeling. And we're back. Thank you for joining me in this practice. I hope that you did find it valuable. If you have any feedback or questions, now would be a good time, and I'm happy to answer any questions, any maybe challenges that you've been facing with this practice. You are welcome to share that in the comment section. I'm just reading the comments now. Is mindfulness and meditation the same thing? Mindfulness is more like a general term for a state of mind, of being aware of the present moment, of being kind of paying attention to what is happening and observing what is happening without judging or evaluating things. Whereas meditation is more like a formal practice, which leads to mindfulness. So with meditation, you have many different schools of meditations and different practices, but mindfulness is more of a state of mind, whereas meditation is more of a practice. And one of the biggest benefits of mindfulness that I didn't mention before is that with the regular practice, what happens is that later on, when you're facing, for example, anxiety, or when you're in a state where you're arguing with someone, or you feel like things are out of control, because you've been practicing that mindfulness for a while, you started developing that state that you can return to, where you just observe with detachment, without labeling and judging everything. So I think, in my opinion, that's the biggest value of mindfulness. And it's not about being mindful constantly, or constantly being present and being that perfect mindful person. Just like within the mindfulness practice, like I guided you today, it's about returning back again and again to that present moment, whenever possible, whenever you remember, even if it's for a minute a day, that you remember to go back to this present moment and just observe what is happening. That's going to yield tremendous results. Yes, then mindfulness can be applied to everything you are doing when you are doing it. Exactly. You can mindfully speak, you can mindfully go for a walk, you can mindfully talk to people, you can mindfully do the dishes. Or you can do things automatically without mental involvement, and then you just, your body is doing one thing, and then your mind is doing something else. So that's not mindfulness. When your mind is doing something else and you're not focused on what is happening in front of you, that's not mindfulness. Akila, I'm really glad you found it helpful and calmed your mind. I have exam coming in a few days. Can you share anything so I can focus more and not feel anxious? Well, you could try this practice in the following days, and especially during the exam, even when you're feeling anxious or like you can't focus, just go back to the present moment and observe the anxiety. Notice the anxiety. Notice what your mind is doing exactly. How is it that you can't focus? Just observe it all, and whenever possible, just go back to the present moment. I think a lot of things, a big part of anxiety for a lot of people, especially like situational anxiety, like with exams or job interviews, is that we're trying to over control the situation, over control the exam, or how we perform, or whether we study enough, or the interview and stuff like that. And that over kind of state of trying to over control everything can produce a lot of that tension and pressure that you have to perform, and you have to do things right, uh, which obviously feels extremely stressful, because it's a lot of pressure to do things right. So just observing that, and um, bringing attention to how maybe you're forcing things too much. I think that can be extremely helpful and help you to create that distance between yourself, how you are, and the situation, or a task at hand, or a goal. So that's one of the ideas with mindfulness, that mindfulness can help to create that distance, where you don't have to sink into different situations and merge with the situations where you absolutely are at the mercy of the situation. It helps you to create that distance, and even though you're not trying to control anything, it then gives you a bit more control, because you have more resources and energy to use. Josh says, when I stop myself from being on autopilot and practice mindfulness like this, my mind goes towards painful memories of people in really hard losses. I'm really sorry to hear that. Um, Obviously, I don't know your situation enough, but it does sound like that maybe working through these memories would be very helpful to you, because if they keep coming back, that means there's something unprocessed and maybe some trauma. So maybe working with a therapist could be very helpful to you. or someone that you trust. Or if you don't like to work with anyone at all, even journaling and staying with these memories, observing these memories and feelings that come up can be very helpful, because that what will allow you to process things and integrate these memories, so that they're not this, free floating memories that you can't process, or they're too disturbing to stay with. All right. Any final question before we finish for today? I always consider it normal to be mindful of my surroundings and assume that everyone did the same. Finding out that it wasn't the case, and that it's not a common practice, has always baffled me. Yep. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you all found it helpful. It's been a pleasure to reconnect with you. I definitely want to now make it a routine and meet with you every Sunday at the same time for mindfulness practice. I'm going to be mixing things around, so it's not going to be every time the same practice, but there will be a similar structure, so you know what to expect. If you have any feedback, if you want to share any specific challenges that you're facing that you would like me to help you with through this mindfulness practice, then please leave a comment um, under the video, and I'll be happy to maybe try to integrate it in the future mindfulness practices. Thank you so much for being with me today here, and I will see you next Sunday at the same time.